Excellent. Thank you. Thank you so much for your insights on Apple. Can we move on to Tesla now? In 2021, Tesla sold around 936,000 vehicles. So what is your number for 2022? Do you think they can deliver more than 1.5 million this year?
So I'm at 1.4. I'm not sure. My guess is probably most analysts are kind of thinking 1.5, kind of in that number. I think they could get there. It is, I think, probably a little bit on the long shot. If they were going to ask me, do I think they get to 1.5 or not get to 1.5, I would say they fall short. And maybe that's a near-term disappointment in 2022. It probably would be. But there is a piece of just the speed that they can ramp Berlin and Austin, and they're still, just getting those opened up. And also, they're still navigating lead times. And I think that we recently this week we looked at lead times in 8 countries for Tesla, for Teslas. It's the same exercise we do with Apple and their lead times of the products. You can do it with Tesla too. Yeah. But on average, it's 4.5 months, 4.5 months is what you need to wait. In other words, if you order something today, you're going to get it 4.5 months, get it late in August. And what that means is that even though demand is good, they're having a hard time keeping up. And so I think they have demand for far more than 1.5 million vehicles. I think they probably have demand for probably over 2 million vehicles at this point. But I don't know if they'll actually be able to deliver those vehicles because of all the other supply chain things going on.
Great. The Elon Musk was always saying that Tesla growth target is 50% per year. And apparently for last 2-3 years, it was more than 50%. Do you see any chance to achieve 20 million cars by 2030, like Elon Musk aimed?
I think that's very much on the table. This and the March quarter, the most recent quarter, they grew deliveries at 72%. That was basically the same as the 71% growth that they had in December. So they're moving. They have been much higher, and it's been 70% plus over the last few quarters. They're moving much faster than that 50% target. Of course, the 50% target implies that they're going to be towards the back half of the decade, they're going to be growing much slower. So you need to grow faster early because the numbers are smaller. But to answer your question do I think that's doable? I think 20 million is doable. I think the car industry, depending on the numbers you look at, is somewhere between 80 and 90 million vehicles a year. And I think that I think it's just going to be difficult. This belief that traditional auto is going to somehow just miraculously catch up because they've been making cars for a long time, I think is misplaced. And I would, I guess, in part focus on how they manufacture cars today need to be changed. And this all plays into your question about how do you get to 20 million? One way you get to 20 million is the competition struggles. And that's what I want to just take a minute and talk about. Competition struggling. The exercise for figuring out lead times, we have a saying at Loop. Anybody that's worked with me would probably say if there's one thing about Gene Munster, he talks about the 180-pound rule. 180-pound rule. It's a very important rule. I'm glad that I brought it up because it really is an important piece of our investing. And 180-pound rule is that if I told you, Charles, that it was 180 pounds, that doesn't really give you any context to what my goal was. Was I trying to put weight on? Was I trying to take weight off? My simple weight isn't very helpful. And so, in other words, a number is only relevant in the context of another number. So if I told you, in the case of Tesla and its competition, and told you that there's a 4.5 month waiting time for a Tesla on average over 8 countries, that doesn't tell you what the other automakers are. Do they have a 12-month waiting time? Do they have a bigger backlog? Is it less? And so that 4.5 month data point is a little bit hollow. It doesn't really give the true perspective. And so we've tried to go, and we're in the process of trying to figure out what the lead times are for other car makers. And surprisingly, it's really hard to get those numbers. And the reason why is that traditional car makers use a dealer network. And these dealer networks have challenges around how they communicate to customers. You can't just go online and order a Honda and it says when it's going to be available, like you get with a Tesla. You have to call a dealer, and then the dealer makes a guess of when they're going to get it. And that guess may be influenced about how they want you to act. They may tell you a longer lead time to hope that you come into the dealer today and buy something off of their lot. It really plays into what I see as something that is dysfunctional with traditional auto, not just the manufacturing and the tech piece, but how they sell their cars is dysfunctional with the dealer network, and that's going to take a decade to unwind.
Yeah, excellent point. Yeah, that's something I never thought about. Great. During one of your interviews with CNBC a few months ago, you mentioned that Tesla can become $2.5 trillion company. Apart from the production number and sales number, what aspects do you see? What kind of value do you see from Tesla the others cannot see?
So, it's going to be a wild road to that, if I am correct. And when I talk about that $2.5 trillion, I think of that as in 2027. So we're still 5 years away from where I think that they can get there. But maybe what I see that others may not see is a kind of a confirmation that eventually all investors view Tesla as a tech company. And I know that it has been largely viewed that way, but there's still this debate out there: is it a car company, is it a tech company? And if I'm right about that, if it is truly viewed as a tech company, it should get a tech-like multiple. And the best comp, of course, is Apple. And at this point, Apple trades at probably 7 times revenue. But for the sake of this conversation, put a 6.5 times revenue on Tesla's 2027 revenue estimate, which I think is $400 billion. They'll do about $80 billion in 2022 to give some perspective. So I think they'll go from $80 billion to $400 billion. It's a huge jump. But if they do that and you put a 6.5 multiple, you get to that $2.5 trillion mark.
Excellent. Oh, that's a great calculation. Now we have another innovation from Tesla. I'm talking about Tesla bot. I read one of the articles stating that Elon Musk said the most important business for Tesla for 2022 is Tesla bot. What is your opinion on this new innovation Tesla is working on?
I love that they're working on it. I wouldn't put any economic value into it. I don't think investors should own the stock because of the bot. The concept of what they're going for is unique, and what they essentially have recognized is that the world is built for humans, and to create a robot that is going to be the fastest adoption, it needs to have kind of a human form, a humanoid. And I thought that was a pretty creative piece. I think something else that Elon Musk has said recently is just understanding the basics of an economy. The basics of an economy is related to really labor. That's what we do, is we work, and therefore we get paid, and that kind of whole equation works. And to kind of take the heavy lifting piece of the economic equation and to create more tech around that, I think is a massive opportunity. So I think it's shiny. I wouldn't put any effort into it. They said that they're going to try to do something this year. He said it's the most important project that Tesla is going to be working on in 2022 is the R&D around Optimus Prime, the code name for the robot. And I think that it's probably going to fall short. I think that they're going to try something that's just like orders of magnitude more difficult than even doing a car.
Okay, I see. The next question, I hope you don't mind asking this one. For some reason, CNBC always match you with this gentleman, Gordon Johnson. from GLJ Research. To be honest, many of my subscribers do not like seeing you together with him. So how do you feel when you talk with him?
So I appreciate what Gordon, his passion. And the reason why I think it's important to join him is I think that it's important for me to engage in the other side. And I think it's part of just a philosophy that I have of always be open to that other person having a card that says you're wrong. And I have a different view on how this plays out. And I think that it's important for me to engage. Gordon is good at sending me information in between those visits I have with him on CNBC about things that he's seen in the market that support his view. And I'm better off. I'm more informed because of it. And so I think it's important for me to embrace that other view and to think about it strategically, not to get emotional about it. The topic of Tesla can get emotional. I don't know why that ends up being the case, but that's why I think it's important for why I have in the past joined Gordon.
Yeah, that's very interesting thing. When I have the content on my YouTube channel talking about Tesla, always I get the comments which is quite emotional comparing to other contents. So I think that is common around the world. Tesla
That's good to
creates
know.
emotion.
Yeah, it is. It's become it's a religion. It is, and that's an advantage to Tesla. No other car company is a religion.
Good point. Earlier we talked about Apple So in case Apple successfully come up with an Apple car, what do you think? Do you think it'll hurt Tesla's business?
It's my biggest concern related to Tesla is what Apple eventually does. And part of the reason is Apple has so much money, they can do whatever they want to do. Just to put in a perspective how much money Apple has. We know the number here, the $300 billion, you hear, $70 billion in operating income, but what they can do to invest. This isn't directly related to the car, but it speaks to the challenge that Tesla would have in competing with Apple. Is Apple has talked about over the next 5 years investing $430 billion, that's with a B, into U.S. tech infrastructure. And when I originally saw the number, I saw it in 2018, and then I saw they had increased it from 380 to 430, I think a few months ago. And I had to double take it. I actually had to confirm that it was B with a billion. I kept reading the press release because I thought it must be million. They're investing 300, 400 million. What can you do with $430 billion? If you look at the cost of the new stadium at SoFi and where the most recent Super Bowl was, I think that was reportedly $5 billion. Intel is expected to build a fab. It'll take 3 years. That's $15 to $20 billion reportedly. And you can do a lot with that.
Yes.
And when you think about the car business and the capital investment, Apple can invest a lot. Traditional car companies have thin margins. They just simply don't have the capital to invest at the same pace that that Apple would have. And so I think that would be the keep me up at night as a Tesla investor is the flip of the coin that Apple does come out with a car. That would they're going to win some market share from Tesla.
So you gotta own both the stocks then.
That's probably the best way to do it.
Yes, absolutely. I saw you on CNBC yesterday talking about FANG stocks. At the end of the video clip, you mentioned that it would be ideal to own both mega tech names as well as some growth stocks. When you say growth stocks, are you talking about the companies Cathy Wood is heavily investing in or something else?